The average marathon runner is 25. I'm 37, a mom of two, and I signed up for the New York City Marathon. My last long distance run, a half marathon, was over 10 years ago, practically a decade ago. So why did I sign up for the New York City Marathon? Because delusional confidence told me I could do it. And discipline is how I'm going to finish it. I mean, heck, if I can push out two babies, I can definitely run a marathon. And after childbirth, 26.2 miles is just a different kind of endurance test, right? Let me be clear. Even though I work in the health and wellness space, I definitely do not have the perfect routine. I am a real woman with school drop-offs, deadlines, and days that I'd rather be anywhere but on the pavement, but here we are. In this video, I am breaking down how I am training for my first marathon, the mindset that I had to adapt, and the exact plan that I'm following so you can do it too, no matter your age or your starting point. Because if this sleep-deprived mama can train for 26.2 miles between karate practice and meal prep, I promise you, you can too. This video is broken down into clear chapters, making it easy for you to follow along. So grab your electrolytes, get comfy because we're about to dive in. Hey, beautiful people. I am Kaylin. This is actually my first, decided to document my marathon training journey from the very beginning, because what better way to stay accountable than sharing it with the internet? This channel is going to be all about fitness, wellness, and living our best, healthiest lives after 30 without toxic positivity and impossible standards. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments, have you ever thought about running a marathon? Or is this just my midlife crisis talking? And a quick disclaimer, I am not an expert. I am not a certified trainer. I am literally learning as I go, and I'm taking you along for the ride, messy parts and all. Consider this a real-time documentary of what happens when a average woman decides to do something kind of wild. So let's talk about how delusional confidence and discipline became part of my marathon motto and why it might be exactly what you need to. Chapter 1. Let's start with this whole delusional confidence thing. And what do I mean by that? It's the audacity to believe that you can do something that your logical mind says is ridiculous. It's putting on running shoes when you've never run more than a mile and saying, yeah, I think I'll just run 26.2 miles. It's running 3 miles, huffing and puffing, and proudly calling it marathon prep. Here's what I have learned. If you wait until you actually feel ready to start doing something big, you'll be waiting forever. There is no ready. There is just starting before you feel qualified. And when I decided to register for the New York City Marathon, my husband looked at me sideways. He literally asked me if I lost my mind. And the truth is, while I did train for a 5K probably 6 months ago, jumping into marathon prep feels like going from kindergarten to college. Because something in me knew that if I didn't sign up, if I didn't just put money down and tell people I was doing it, I would have never done it. I needed that external commitment to match this wild internal belief that somehow I could transform this sometimesy mom working out to a marathoner in less than a year. The first week back to serious running was humbling. Now, even though I'm not starting from zero, but I'm running miles, this is a whole different level. Like, my body remembered just enough to be frustrated at what it can't do right now. My shins started hurting. My lungs were burning. Every part of me wanted to quit. I had headaches. This is where the delusional comes in handy, because logically, I should have quit. Logically, I still should quit. But instead, I kept telling myself, this is temporary. I'm becoming a runner with every step of the way. My body just hasn't caught up to what my mind is yet. And that's okay. And slowly, and I mean slowly, things started to shift. 1 mile became 2. Walking breaks became shorter. Long distance running started happening, not because of some miracle, but because of consistency paired with this slightly delusional belief that I was a marathoner in training, not a mom who couldn't run 3 miles. That was the first lesson. That is what I want you to take away. You have to claim the identity before you even have the evidence. Call yourself a runner before your body agrees. Talk about marathon training even when it feels like imposter syndrome. Say it out loud. Tell your friends. That's the magic It isn't feeling ready, it's starting anyway and letting your identity catch up to what your actions are. That is delusional confidence, and that is the first step. Chapter 2, where discipline comes in. Now, delusional confidence got me to sign up, but discipline is what gets me out the door every day at 6:30 in the morning, 4 times a week. So let's talk about what this actually looks like. So before I decided to train, my exercise routine was sporadic at best. A Pilates class here, a living room workout there, usually the first thing sacrificed when life got busy. Now, my week looks like this. 4 runs a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 2 cross training days, Monday, Tuesday, and 1 rest day, which is Saturday. My long runs happen on Sunday, and those are non-negotiable when my husband is handling the kids. Here's the reality of training as a mom in her 30s. It is not Instagram perfect. Sometimes my cross training is chasing my toddler around the house or around the playground for an hour. Or sometimes my fueling looks like eating whatever mosh posh I can make in the pantry. But discipline for me looks like setting out my clothes the night before, or prepping my hydration packs and charging my headphones when I'd rather be collapsing on the couch. It's respecting the commitment I had to myself, even when no one would know if I even skipped. Y'all don't know if I skip my run days? That is the hard truth though. There are days that I do not want to run, days when my alarm goes off and every fiber in my being is screaming, go back to sleep because my child woke up at 2 a.m. And sometimes I listen because training as a mom and a woman means balancing ideas with reality. This isn't about the perfect adherence to a plan. It's about consistency over time. If I miss a Tuesday run because my kid was sick, I do not throw it all away. The whole week I adjust. Maybe Thursday becomes slightly longer. Maybe I add in a short run on Sunday or Saturday. Whatever helps me stay accountable is tracking everything, not just distance, time, but how I feel, what I ate before, how I slept. Patterns emerge that help me understand my body better. That is the goal. And here's where discipline differs from punishment. I am learning to listen to my body, not just to push through it. And that is so critical. Some days that planned 6-miler becomes 4 because my knees are screaming. That's not failure. That's sustainable training. And the discipline isn't in never missing a day. It's coming back after you miss one. It's in the consistent return to what matters, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Chapter 3. What am I figuring out? Now let's talk about the practical stuff that I'm figuring out along the way, because signing up for a marathon is one thing, but it turns you into an unexpected gear enthusiast overnight. And it's expensive. So I'm still testing out what gear works best for me. After my first month of training though, I did realize the cute running shoes that I bought because they matched my leggings were actually causing my shin splints and blisters on my feet. I've since been fitted at a proper running store for shoes that support my actual foot. Get sized is one of the most important things that you can do if you're training for a marathon. Number 2, hydration was my next hurdle. Like, how do you carry water for a 2-hour run without feeling like you are lugging swimming pools? I've experimented with different belts, vests, but trying to figure that out is a whole nother thing in itself. And speaking of fuel, that's been a whole nother thing of education. It turns out that you cannot run for hours on an empty stomach. And I honestly learned the hard way. Again, I'm still figuring this all out, what my body can tolerate during the long runs. But so far, these energy gels are working okay. The salt tablets are helping. Eating breakfast is helping. All of these things fuel me for a long run. And let me say this, recovery has become just as important as running itself. So I have invested in foam rollers, compression boots, which is basically torture disguised as fitness equipment. But I am religious about post-run stretching now as well. Your recovery is so important. So for tracking, I started Strava because I like the community aspect of the training and logging features. Being able to see my progress over time was a huge motivation for me, but ultimately I gave in and I purchased a Garmin watch, which has been the best choice for me. And then clothing, I am learning that cotton is the enemy, technical fabrics are my friend, and proper running socks are worth every penny. Who knew socks would make such a difference? Like, who knew? I'll definitely share a more detailed review once I've tested out everything and I'm more thorough on this process. But for now, I'm in that awkward phase where I can still have some of my old gear, some of my new gear, mixing it all in, trying to figure out what works. I started using Map by Run at first, then I learned about Strava. So it's just a whole thing that I'm learning, which I'm excited about. Now for the actual training plan, I am following a modified beginner marathon plan that I have through Garmin Connect, and I have a running coach who adjusts my runs based on my schedule. So the key here is to build a mileage slowly, no more than 10% increase per week to avoid injury. And can we talk about entertainment? My running playlist has become sacred, y'all. On the tough days, I switch to podcasts or audibles to distract my mind from a mile ahead. So therefore, I am currently obsessed with meditations for the first 10 minutes to get me through the hardest part of the run, I feel. But I also listen to crime podcasts because nothing motivates you more like running faster than thinking somebody is chasing you. Trust me, don't knock it until you do it. Chapter 4, what I tell any first-time runner. Now for the good stuff. What I wish somebody would have told me before I started this journey, especially as a woman over 30. First is you do not have to look like a runner to be a runner. Those lean gazelle-like women in running magazines, they are amazing. Do not get me wrong, but they are not the definition of a runner. They are Olympic athletes. If you run at any pace, any distance, you are a runner, period. Second, running is a mental before it's physical. The voice in your head saying you can't, it's lying. Your body can usually go further than your mind believes. And I started using mantras on the tough runs. Simple phrases like 1 mile at a time or you got this, Kaylin, strong body, stronger. Like those repeated mantras help me not quit. And then find a community has been a game changing, whether that's a local running group or online forum or just a friend who you'll text like, did you run today? My husband is my person on this journey, which has been extremely fun and rewarding to both of us. But having a person who understands the journey makes all of the difference. Curate what goes into your ear and your mind, and this is crucial. Running podcasts like Marathon Training Academy or the Running Explained podcast have taught me so much, and having specific playlists for different types of runs helps set the tone as well. And then, of course, recovery becomes a non-negotiable after 30. Sleep, nutrition, hydration, stretch, they are not just extras, they are essential. I've had to prioritize 8 hours of sleep in a way that I have never done before outside of having my child. I make it a priority. And most importantly, permission to start where you are. Not where you wish you want to be, not where you would be at 35, not as an influencer, not where you were in college, right here. With the body that you have today, with the schedule constraints that you have, with life that you are actually living. Because here's the beautiful thing about starting from zero. Every improvement is a win. My first long run was 3 miles. I celebrated like I won an Olympic gold. Now my long runs are approaching double digits. That is beautiful. Each mile feels like a victory. Your journey won't look like mine, and that's how it should be, but the fundamentals are the same. Start before you're ready, be consistent when it's hard, and celebrate every single step forward. Chapter 5, your delusional era starts now. So what now? How do you take this delusional confidence and discipline approach and apply it to your own running journey? I've got 3 simple steps to get you started this week. Step number 1, make a commitment official. Whether that is signing up for a race, even if it's a 5K to start, telling 3 friends about your goals, or simply writing, I am a runner on your vision board or on your bathroom mirror. Make it real outside of your head. For me, putting money down for that marathon registration was my point of no return. Find what will hold you accountable and do it before your logical brain talks you out of it. Step 2, start ridiculously small. Not a runner yet? Great. Your first goal is to run for 1 minute, walk for 2 minutes. Repeat this exercise 5 times. That's it. Do that 3 times a week. My first running entry into my Garmin watch, I ran 0.5 miles without stopping. I was out of breath. My face was all types of discolored, but that was my start. honor where your beginning is, honestly. And step number 3, build your support system. Follow other real everyday runners on social media. It's the motivation that you need. Join a beginner-friendly running group. Many running stores host weekly runs at all levels, or download a training app and celebrate small wins. The people around you will either fuel your confidence or drain it. And if you cannot find the right community, join mine. And I want you to remember that the marathon isn't just the race day. It's the ordinary Tuesday morning when you chose to lace up instead of sleeping in. It's the consistency, the tiny decisions, the showing up for yourself, time and time again. I will be documenting my entire journey, the good runs, the terrible ones, what I'm learning about the gear, nutrition, balancing it all in a real life. Next week, I will break down my exact weekly schedule and how I'm gradually building up my mileage without burning out. If there's something specific that you want me to cover, whether it's marathon mom hacks, my fueling strategy, or how I'm preventing injury, let me know in the comments and I will make sure to get back to you on that. Your delusional confidence era starts now, and not when you run a mile without stopping, not when you have the perfect gear, not when life magically clears up space for your calendar. Now, today, with whatever you got going on. If this video resonates with you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to joining this marathon journey. Hit the notification bell so you do not miss next week's deep dive into creating a sustainable training schedule as a busy woman. Until then, remember, be a little delusional about what you can achieve and disciplined enough to prove to yourself you're right. See you on the next one. Bye.